This is my new pattern, Spring's Glorious Pathway. It's a reproduction of an antique quilt, possibly made by slaves, and I have drafted the pattern. It was originally a Y-seam pattern with this as one piece, but that's a really difficult thing to piece, and plus these little diamonds are only 3/4 of an inch. The original quilt was all hand pieced, and I did not want to do that. I wanted to piece it by machine, which is difficult. I could have strip pieced these, but since they're each individual fabrics, that would have made it really difficult and time consuming, and I would have used up a lot of fabric. So I decided to paper foundation piece it, and I just wanted to show you 1/4 of this block so that you could see how it's done after we've already discussed the paper foundation piecing method. This is the pattern piece I'm going to be using. There's 8 of them in each block, and I'm going to start with my first piece, and it will go right side down, and my second piece will go right side up. Since these are offset and I didn't want to waste a lot of fabric, I'm going to offset my pieces like this so that they will fit. I'm going to put my thumbs on the edge of my line, and then I'm going to bring it down on top of here so that I've covered this piece and I have enough to cover the end. I'm going to turn it and sew it. I have given myself ample fabric, so I'm confident that it will cover. I don't have to trim on this first piece because I matched them up pretty well and it doesn't need to be any smaller. I'm going to sew and I'm going to trim, press, or I'm just going to press. So you can see how those are offset, but it covered this diamond. With piece number 3, I'm going to put it right side up with the edge I'm going to sew horizontal across my body. I'm going to mark my line so I don't get confused. This is the next line I'm going to sew. It's between 2 and 3. Grab that with my thumbs, and I want to offset this piece to the right so that it covers this diamond. If I just cut out a giant piece of fabric, I wouldn't have to worry about it, but I didn't. I cut out a piece of fabric that's going to fit. I place that down on there, turn it, and sew it. This one I do need to trim. So I'm going to trim off that excess. This little block ends up taking me about a half an hour to complete the entire block. Maybe 45 minutes, let's say, to completion. All right, my next piece is this little triangle. That's the background. And if you find it helpful to put on your piece tan, you can do that. So this is a tan piece. The part I'm going to sew is the long edge of the triangle. I'm going to put my thumbs on the line I'm going to sew, put it down over that centered, and sew it. So, trim, and press. When I'm making this block, I will chain piece these consecutively, one after another. I'll do all 8 of these sections together. And my last piece is the large tan triangle, and it is going to sit on my table like this because after I sew it, it will flip over and cover that. So I'm going to put it down on my table. I'm going to grab this line with my thumbs, and I'm going to come down over the top of that, knowing that I have covered all of my areas, and I'm going to sew it. sew, trim, and press. This is 1/8 of the entire block, and it's now ready to be stay stitched around the edge. Stay stitched, everything covered. I'm going to fold my fabric over so I can take this outer layer off. So this pattern is called Spring's Glorious Pathway, and you can find it on my website, Stitching in Heels, or my Facebook page, Stitching in Heels. This is ready to be trimmed at 1/4 inch, and then I'll take the paper off. Last thing I want to show you is how to put that block together. So I have 8 of these units. They go together like so. I'm not much of a pinner. I like to match up my pieces. Whenever I'm sewing with a triangle at the beginning, I always use a thread saver, and it not only saves thread, but it keeps me from making a big glob at the beginning of my fabric when I'm sewing on a triangle. So I'm going to match that up. I'm sewing 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to come down here and match up the end. So I've matched up that end. And if there's any easing that needs to be done in between, I'll do it now. I don't wait till the end to hope that this matches. I'll chain piece all these together. I'll go to my ironing board, and I will iron this with my ironing board. I love to iron. And then this becomes 1/4 of that block. So that's how the Spring's Glorious Pathway is made. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy paper foundation piecing. It's a great technique. Thanks.